Smoking with Sdot. Smoking with Sdot. Smoking with Sdot.
So the magistrate judge overseeing this hearing today has remanded Sean Diddy Combs into custody after he was charged with that trafficking case. He was let out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals, and he will be held in federal detention as this case moves forward. Now, this followed a lengthy hearing with both prosecutors and Diddy's attorneys arguing reasons why he should be kept behind bars and why he should be released. Diddy's lawyers saying that he has taken voluntary steps, including turning over his passport to his lawyers, saying he would report any of his movements to prosecutors. But the judge finding that that was just not enough. She said, "My concern is that this is a crime that happened behind closed doors."
During his court appearances, reports indicate that Diddy's behavior, including smirking, has drawn frustration from the presiding judge. Such actions, while seemingly minor, have significant consequences in high-stakes legal proceedings. Smirking, or showing disrespect, can influence the perception of the court, potentially impacting bail decisions and sentencing.
When pretrial services is monitoring. So she said there was nothing that his lawyers had offered that made her feel comfortable that he would return to this courthouse for subsequent court hearings and for a trial. She said that it was both his substance and the fact that some of this physical that's been alleged occurred when he was using alcohol, that was a reason why she couldn't trust that he would not commit any additional crimes while he was left on bail. So Sean Diddy Combs is not going to be walking out this door. He is in federal custody, where he will be unless his lawyers are able to convince a different judge.
Diddy is facing serious charges, including racketeering and trafficking, under a federal indictment that outlines a decade-long pattern of criminal activity. The prosecutor emphasized the extensive nature of the alleged offenses, including trafficking, forced labor, and harmful coercion, presenting a strong case supported by multiple pieces of evidence and witness testimonies. The charges carry the potential for severe sentencing if Combs is convicted. Disturbing allegations have surfaced that incriminating tapes involving Diddy are being circulated on the dark web. These tapes are reportedly key evidence in his trial, highlighting illegal activities tied to trafficking. Federal authorities are investigating whether these materials were released as part of a broader attempt to expose the full extent of Diddy's crimes. Should law enforcement be doing more to prevent the distribution of such tapes online?
I also was just recently contacted by someone who wanted me to essentially represent them in the sale of one of the Diddy tapes.
You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is
yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of, and to contact the person who was in the video to see if they were interested in purchasing the video before it became a public knowledge.
I've heard this before, so like a catch and kill.
Catch and kill, correct.
Wow, can you, and I guess you can't reveal the person who is on
No,
the
I
tape.
can't explain who the person was, but
High profile?
Mr. Combs was in the tape, and this other person is, I would venture to say, more high profile than Mr. Combs.
Really?
Diddy's attorney has admitted that if convicted, the star could face life imprisonment. The nature of the charges, particularly involving vulnerable individuals in a trafficking ring, makes the likelihood of a harsh sentence very real.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, trafficking, interstate transportation. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York.
The attorney continues to maintain his client's innocence, but the weight of the evidence suggests that the prosecution is building a formidable case.
It's this detention center in Brooklyn, and he is in this very special portion of the facility that offers an extra layer of security for high-profile individuals who could be targeted among the general population. And that could mean that he's limited to facilities like the library and the phone, so could make it hard, his lawyers are saying, for him to be able to prepare for trial. And because of all of this, Combs' attorney is actually asking for him to be moved to a New Jersey jail. But a judge said that that's ultimately going to be up to the Bureau of Prisons to decide. I mean, he can continue to appeal this and can appeal the bond, right? But you saw it with Ghislaine Maxwell. She continued to appeal and was not successful. Now 2 federal judges saying, you got to stay behind bars.
Legal experts predict that, given the gravity of the charges and the amount of evidence gathered, if convicted, Diddy could face decades in prison. These charges, which cover a wide array of criminal activities, from trafficking to obstruction of justice, could lead to a lengthy sentence, potentially life imprisonment, depending on the court's final judgment.
All the stuff with Justin Bieber, so weird we all ran with it, right, bro? Nobody's buying that, dude. So, Pat, the majority of these, Pink said the same thing.
That's the best one.
Yeah, but guys, but Pink and somebody else, they deleted their stuff a little while back. But Usher, in his own words on the Howard Stern show, like when I tell you guys, these demons hide in plain sight, like Diddy, he said on Howard Stern, Puffy would have his parents send him to flavor camp at 13 years old. Your parents are sending you to a camp with a grown man, Pat. I know, I'm around you all the time. I know we're your kids, and I know you trust me, and I love you. Would you ever send your 13, would you send Tico?
Stop it.
Are you freaking nuts? I don't care how famous he is. And in this interview, Rob, you don't have to play, he says, Howard Stern's like, oh, I bet you there was girls and orgies. And he's talking to him as he's 13, and he said, there was very curious things happen. And then you got a video of Usher and Diddy in his bedroom with Kevin Hart, and he's interviewing him. And he said, I would wake up in the morning with Usher in the morning, and then he catches himself, and it's a moment where they're all laughing and it's all a joke. And I think, in my opinion, Pat, one of the ones that affects me the most is Justin Bieber. This kid, to me, it looks like he has gone through hell.
By the way, do you have the Kevin Hart one?
Yeah, I sent it to you, Robbie.
Yeah, I'm finding it right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Which is odd, Pat, because he gets caught saying that he would wake up next to him, and then he changes it and says we would fight off over the Frosted Flakes. Even Kevin Hart is uncomfortable because you're admitting that you were sleeping next to a freaking child. And it's like, I'm tired of hearing all these stories, and people just laugh about it. We giggle. Like, this is it right here, Pat. Go ahead, Robbie.
Fresh off the garden stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, I mean, damn, pause.
Look,
like,
pause.
I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was
10 years
a little
old.
bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted
He'd wake up
Flakes.
till Usher.
He used to always get up early. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
Yo, what the fuck did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this with me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was fucking stupid. Listen.
And think about it. And back to Justin Bieber. There's videos, and we don't have to show any more videos. There's videos of Justin Bieber as a child with him, as a child. And again, the parents letting him sleep over. Just uncomfortable, awkward moments. You played the song, Pat, this weekend, Lonely, by Justin Bieber. Yeah. Guys, that song, after everything that this kid's been through, hits so different. It got me emotional in the car. And then look at all the videos. And again, hiding in plain sight. How many videos of Jenny McCarthy at the American Music Awards kissing and making him, he's like, I feel violated. The kid was telling us, James Corden sitting there sniffing him like, I love your smell. It's like, we all see it. We all seeing it happening. And I know we're not going to show the video, Pat, but there's a video out there for the viewers that want to watch it. There's a nightclub. Somebody has a camera. Trey Songz is standing next to Odell Beckham, and he sees the camera come, and he goes, yo, to signal to Odell, and you see Justin Bieber coming up. His head was down in Odell Beckham's crotch, and it's like, I can only imagine, Pat, how difficult it must be for these kids, for an Usher or a Bieber to come forward.
Patrick Bet-David on his podcast has commented on how Diddy's case is not an isolated event in Hollywood. He discussed the culture of wild parties, exploitation, and behind-the-scenes illegal activities that often go unnoticed for years. This conversation highlights the broader issue of how the entertainment industry sometimes shelters celebrities from accountability. Several legal experts have analyzed the case, noting that Diddy could be sentenced to life in prison, The charges against him are severe, including trafficking and racketeering, both carrying long sentences. In addition, his alleged efforts to obstruct justice by intimidating witnesses add weight to the case against him. The court's denial of bail reinforces the belief that he is considered both a flight risk and a danger to the public. Reports indicate that Diddy has already had several altercations while in prison. Despite being in a protective unit, these incidents, including conflicts with other inmates, have only added to his troubled time behind bars.
Notoriously described as, quote, dreadful, as one judge put it, some on the bench have even moved away from sending nonviolent defendants there. In April, a group of detainees that prosecutors said were MS-13 gang members in court documents stabbed an inmate 44 times in an attack caught on camera. 2 shivs were recovered from the attack. You see them here. The victim survived. And in the last 3 years alone, 4 inmates have died by suicide. And violence is not the only issue. Accusations of medical neglect, staffing shortages, smuggling of drugs, some allegedly facilitated by employees. At least 6 staff members charged with crimes in the last 5 years, according to the AP. Some accused of accepting bribes and providing contraband.
I've had clients describe MDC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
Lance A. Clark is a federal defense attorney who's been there many times.
Now, if the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
Occupy the streets until they get heat.
In the winter of 2019, protests over a power outage left inmates without light or heat for a week in the cold.
I understand how cold it must be in those cells, and not to have any electricity, any lights, and to not be able to communicate with your family is just inhumane.
The prison has about 1,200 detainees and is the only federal prison in the nation's largest city. The DOJ shut down New York City's other federal jail, the Metropolitan Correctional Center, back in 2021, 2 years after Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide there. A Bureau of Prisons spokesman telling NBC News they, quote, take seriously addressing the staffing and other challenges at MDC Brooklyn, adding the director appointed an urgent action team and they've increased staffing.
MDC has historically had tremendous problems, and the problems aren't resolved.
Combs' lawyers originally hoping he could await trial under house arrest at his mansion, now arguing for him to be moved to a prison in New Jersey in the lead up to this trial, citing the prison's poor conditions, violence, and deaths. On Wednesday, his lawyer said he was being held in a special housing unit with an extra level of security.
Rumors of his involvement in prison disputes further tarnish his image and may affect his behavior during trial proceedings. Diddy is currently being housed at MDC in New York, where he shares space with numerous other inmates. His high-profile status means he is under close observation, but his time in the general population comes with risks. Despite efforts to secure his safety, reports suggest he is struggling with the conditions of his incarceration. Concerns over his safety have reportedly led Diddy to stop eating meals provided by the prison, fearing they could be tampered with or poisoned. His legal team has expressed worries over his physical and mental state as he awaits trial. This behavior reflects the extreme anxiety that often accompanies high-profile incarceration cases, particularly for individuals unaccustomed to such environments.
Breaking news tonight. Diddy hungry? Sean Combs apparently refusing jail food. Some say he's missing his private chef and convinced he will be poisoned. Because remember, it's all about him. Okay, it's not about his alleged sex trafficking victims. It's about him. He actually thinks someone might poison him behind bars. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
Diddy done it. Rap star and music mogul Sean Puffy Combs slammed with his 11th lawsuit just weeks after his arrest on sex trafficking charges.
And I know he's in the MDC right now, but he better hide under his bed because Gloria Allred is up his tailpipe now. In the last hours, is there ever a moment that a lawyer who is used to talking for a living realizes I should just shut up? Apparently not in some cases. In the last hours, TMZ, who is creating the downfall of Diddy on Tubi, our friend Harvey Levin, who created TMZ, sits down with Sean Combs' lawyer. I want you to hear what happened. Watch.
They called them freak-offs. But, you know, back when I was a kid in the late 70s, they were called threesomes.
If these are genuinely threesomes, how do you explain 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
I don't know where the number 1,000 came.
The U.S. attorney said it.
I can't imagine it's thousands. I mean, you know, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. I mean, he has a big house. He buys in bulk. You know, I think they have Costco's in every place where he has a home. I mean, have you sat in a parking lot of a Costco and see what people walk out of there with?
Not 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
I don't think it was 1,000. I think it was. Let's just say it's a lot. Okay.
Every time I watch guys, that's from our friends at TMZ. That's our friend Harvey Levin speaking to Combs' lawyer, Agnefello, from the downfall of Diddy, the indictment, now on Tubi. You know, from now on, he is stuck, Agnefello. His face is going to appear, and underneath it, it will say, 1 bottle of baby oil goes a long way. And you got Levin having to explain to Agnefello that baby oil is a lubricant for an orgy, but that's not what's happening here. It's not an orgy with willing participants. It is forced sex trafficking. And as much as I want to play that clip 5 million times and watch it over and over, joining me right now, Lynn Shaw, founder and director of Lynn's Warriors, that is devoted and committed to stopping sex trafficking. Now, the lawyer is not helping anything regarding Combs, and I got a lot of territory to cover tonight. But Lynn Shaw, can we bring it back home and stop laughing about the baby oil as a lubricant and 1,000 bottles? And I gotta imagine Harvey Levin sitting outside of a Costco. That has never happened in life. But this is a very serious claim, and the feds are not playing. Let's bring it home, Lynn Shaw. We know Gloria Allred is now representing the latest alleged victim. She doesn't play. This is serious. When you hear what this victim says, your stomach is going to clench.
Diddy's trial has become a media spectacle, with the public closely watching each development. His status as a cultural icon, combined with the salacious nature of the charges, has drawn intense scrutiny.
Listen, as I was reading through what Diddy just got arrested for, right? The parties, what was happening at the parties, 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Anyway, I was shocked because I just watched this movie. And this movie, Blink Twice, is just eerily similar to everything coming out in these Diddy reports. Sometimes I feel like art tries to tell us what's going on in real life. It's a good thing that justice is about to be served. I just hate that anytime something like this happens, the discourse, oh my goodness, like I know there's gonna be just like a cult following of people that are just like, he wasn't guilty, he was just about to buy NBC, and like it's just gonna be this conspiracy. Like, why does this always happen? But yeah, the details of everything, my goodness, it's like been over the last, since that Cassie suit came out, there's been more and more, and it's like every single suit that comes out, or in this case, you know, what he got arrested for, it's just like more details. It's like, yo, there's a lot of complicit people, for sure. Like, I feel like we're still in the beginning stages of all this. Like, I think it's gonna be wild to see what happens in the next few months.
Various rumors have emerged about Diddy's behavior behind bars, from alleged conflicts with guards to other inmates. These stories, though unconfirmed, are adding fuel to the already intense media coverage.
In breaking news that will shock absolutely nobody, P. Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs, has finally been arrested in the state of New York. He is facing federal charges there. He was indicted and he turned himself in today. All of this has been brewing for months, with a slew of people coming forward with allegations against him, lawsuits coming out with allegations against him. And if you remember, just last week, he did not respond to one of the lawsuits, so he got a $100 million verdict. Probably gonna need that money to pay for his lawyers now. Now, we don't have a whole lot of information just yet. Like, we don't know what the actual charges are just yet. But what we do know is that the feds executed a search warrant on his home back in March. That means that they were investigating this case for months prior to that. And then they've been presenting this to a grand jury since June. That's how much evidence is in this case. They've been presenting this to a grand jury to get the indictment since June.
Whether these incidents are genuine or exaggerated, they have shaped public perception of the former music mogul's downfall. How do rumors and media coverage shape high-profile criminal cases?
His lawyer says that he's been completely cooperative, and he even moved to New York last week because he knew these charges were coming and he wanted to turn himself in. But the federal system is not like the state system. You don't automatically get a bond hearing. You have to actually request a detention hearing. And at that detention hearing, it's almost kind of like a preliminary hearing. They bring in the agents and other witnesses to describe what happened for the judge and to tell why he is a danger to the community or why he is a flight risk. And in certain federal cases, like if it carries over 10 years in prison, there is a presumption that you are a flight risk, and the burden shifts to the defense to prove that you are not. It's going to be real interesting to see what these charges are that he is facing and whether he will actually get out on bond.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.